Mr. O'Riordan to the House. Second motion, Senator Mary Morden. Senator Morden.
Thank you, Kerlick, and thank the Minister for coming into the House to take this. I suppose the nub of what I want to bring up is the importance of introducing a parents' charter and to see exactly and to ask exactly where it is along the line, when we can expect it and when this new Section 28 can be brought in to the school admissions policy. It's recently been brought to my attention about numerous cases of where a school and people trying to get in contact with their school or who may wish to raise an issue with their school and having problems. As Minister O'Riordan will well know, that the process at the moment, when you even look on the department website, it says, do you contact the Department of Education, which many parents think they do. And the answer is quite simply that the Department of Education, despite being funders for education and despite being everything, have actually no role at all. So basically the schools are running themselves under the Board of Management, and I just feel that there is a much greater need for involvement for parents in the say of the school, and when they do have an issue, that this can be dealt with effectively. Recently I've been made aware of a case where an issue was brought to the attention of the principal, was ignored for 7 months and was only responded to when the parent in question contacted the chairperson of the Board of Management. They were then informed, well, if you've got a complaint, write to the Secretary of the Board of Management. The Secretary of the Board of Management and a principal are one and the same person, which the parent did. They were first told that all letters were only opened at a Board of Management meeting and that the Secretary wasn't aware of it. However, it now turns out that it was actually the Secretary who opened the letter, who was present while the decision was taken on what course of action would be taken to address the parents' complaint, and it was the principal who contacted the parents. So, I mean, these parents were very concerned that it's very much a one-sided thing, that despite saying, oh, it's open and it's transparent, the parent wasn't present in the school when it was discussed, the principal was. So there is no recourse of action for a parent to actually get somewhere with a genuine concern that they have. And, above that, when you check with the Department of Education, they will say you contact the trustees. The trustees in most of the secondary schools that we have, voluntary secondary schools, are the bishop or the organisation. You contact the bishop and the bishop says, we will now contact the chair of the Board of Management. So, we contact the person that you're making the complaint about to see what they're going to do. It is totally up to them. And I just think that, over the last 4 years since I've come in here, I've had numerous people contact me who have had difficulties in getting principals in schools to return calls, to answer letters. I think for a principal in a school to ignore a letter for 7 months and only respond when this parent has taken it to the chair of the board, even though the chair of the board referred it straight back to the secretary, who is the principal. I just think, Minister, there is a serious need to make sure that we get the Parents' Charter into this school admissions bill and that we get this in place, because parents are under the misguided knowledge that it's the Department of Education that they ring for it, and actually the Department of Education, as far as I can see, have no role in the matter at all. And this is why I have called for this commencement debate, so that issues and concerns of parents can be addressed and that schools are held accountable for complaints, procedures or concerns that parents have. Thank you.
Tara.
Good morning, and I take this opportunity on behalf of the Minister for Education and Skills. Thank the Senator for raising this issue. Minister Sullivan's in the Dáil at the moment answering all questions. So, we welcome the opportunity to address the role and to clarify the position of the Department of Education and Skills in the complaints procedure process for secondary schools. And the Senator will be aware, under the Education Act 1998, legally all schools are managed by the School Board of Management. On behalf of the school patrons or trustees or Education and Training Board, known as the Management Authority. It is the Management Authority that employs the school's teachers and other staff members. In ETB schools, the ETB is the employer. The school principal manages the school on a day-to-day basis. Accordingly, where the Department of Education and Skills provides funding and policy direction for schools, neither the Minister or the Department have legal powers to instruct schools to follow a particular course of direction with regards to individual complaint cases, or to investigate individual complaints except where the complaint involves a refused enrolment, expulsion or suspension in accordance with Section 29 of the 1998 Education Act. In dealing with parental complaints, the Department's role is to clarify for parents how their grievances and complaints against the school can be processed. Where a parent feels the school's Board of Management has failed to investigate or adequately investigate their complaint, they should contact the Ombudsman for Children. The Office of the Ombudsman for Children may independently investigate complaints with schools recognised with the Department of Education and Skills, provided the parent has firstly and fully followed the school's complaints procedures. Section 28 is the section of the Education Act 1998 that provides for parental complaints in schools. It expresses a desirability of determining appeals and resolving grievances in the school. The Minister for Education is not satisfied with the current provisions of Section 28 and plans to revise it and provide in law for a parent and student charter. Changing how schools engage with, listen and respond to parent concerns will be an important part of the charter. Providing parents with the rationale for any decision is important. If schools help parents to understand the basis for a decision, parents are more likely to accept the fairness of decisions. So a core objective of the Charter is to shift away from reacting to problems only after they give rise to grievances. Instead, the emphasis will be on improving the day-to-day experience students and their parents can expect from schools, so that grievances do not arise, so that grievances do not arise at all, or are resolved quickly and informally. And as a result, having to resort to a formal grievance process should be much reduced. So the Minister's intention is to amend Section 28 of the Education Act 1998 to require every school to have a parent and student charter according to principles set down in legislation that will set a national standard. And the Minister plans to have this change introduced during the passage of the Education Admission to Schools Bill 2015.
Thank you, Minister. Questions, Senator?
Thanks very much. I mean, you're fair there to continuing on with the Ombudsman for Children. If the child is 18, unfortunately, this won't. This won't count, and I do agree. But I think that it is. I mean, even if you look at the Department of Education, the guidelines, and it says, that the principal must meet and that it must be resolved within 10 days. I know that this parent wrote a letter in March. They didn't receive a reply until the end of April, and then they were told that the principal was too busy to meet them within the 10 days time frame. The parent then got a letter with 3 hours' notice for a meeting. Which wasn't suitable either. So, I mean, I just think the whole area, Minister, is very, because we've got young people at heart here, and when you've got children that are, it comes in under the voluntary contribution as well, where it's, supposed to be voluntary, but, they're getting things like, the children in the class are radiators or sponges, and those that have paid their voluntary contribution are the radiators radiating warmth, and those of you that haven't paid your voluntary contribution are sponges on society. I think is totally unacceptable, and is a matter that we urgently need to look at, that schools are held accountable for issues like this, who are very damaging to young children coming out. So I thank you for coming in. I know as a fellow former teacher, we share the same passion for students that we would have taught and students to come down the road, and that's why I think that this needs to be brought into legislation as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Tara?
Just to say, I mean, I share the Senator's concerns. While such an instance of a student being described as a sponge would be very rare, it would be absolutely outrageous if that comparison was to be made, that one student is a radiator and another is a sponge. Most professionals that we would know, Senator, would never use that terminology, but unfortunately these situations can and sometimes do arise. But as the Minister has said and stated formally in her reply, which I've given to the House, is that it is her absolute intention to introduce a student and parent charter into legislation by amending Section 28 of the Act, and that will be done by means of the School Admissions Bill.